Hi, my name is Dave Roberts, and I'm head of the Wrongfully Convicted Association. Um, this film is about AIDWIC, an association in defense of the wrongfully convicted. It's another group that helps wrongfully convicted. It's the lawyers. It's basically the Law Society group that helps people that are wrongfully convicted. They have Joyce Milgrave's involved in that, and a number of other people. Basically, this is, they help people, but but a lot of their cases are based on, here's your money, shut your mouth, and that's not the way to do this. Is covering up criminal activity of police and crown attorneys, and not complaining about, these guys were falsifying evidence and they should be put in jail, and lawyers not doing that. And they walk away from this type of action, and this is the type of stuff they do. I consider it just an arm of they're at the city Osgood Hall, which is where the body of the governing body of lawyers is, and they're in the basement down there. I've attended a conference one time there, and Wynn, that works as their secretary, I think she's probably still there, and we've had conversations. But the thing is they're different from us, like we turn around and we tell it the way it is. These guys are corrupt and they should be put in prison, They just like to sugarcoat it and cover it up and sweep it underneath the table, and that's what I find. I remember many times I've talked to Wynn, and I've talked to Joyce. I've talked to Joyce one time when she was she was from Brandon, I believe it was Brandon, Manitoba. She was a parole officer down there, or something like this. And I thought, I can't get involved with your case. I can't say nothing. Well, exactly what all these other officials, like, the Marshall case found when police conspire, other officials cover up. Well, she's basically doing the same thing, but looking the other way. I'm known by them, and they know I don't like them. I think they're just scum too. But what it is I've had conversations with Wynn, and I got the website up, and they know about that. When I was in prison there, you see them using Wrongfully Convicted Association. You're AIDWIC, not Wrongfully Convicted Association. So I laugh about that, but the fact of the matter is they look the other way when the cops do criminal acts, and when they won't come out and say, listen, this cop's lying through his teeth, he should be charged, or this crown attorney's lying, falsifying evidence. They won't come out and say this. It's all criminal acts. When I talk to her, she talks about the police complaint. Well, it's too late now. We can't do anything about it. Before, it was, years ago, it was, we only do murder cases and people that are in jail for life, and and they do sexual assault things and everything else. But they run for me like a 10-foot pole because of what I do. Pointing my fingers right at them. There's a criminal. That's exactly what I do, and I don't hold the punches, and they kind of want to soften or go around it and all this, But why I'm making this is because people have to understand that this is basically a lawyer body, my opinion, and what they do is collect money and go in there, make all kinds of money, and wrongful conviction, collect their big check and everything else. But they don't get these criminals that are doing these wrongful convictions. They're not going to jail. They don't push for that. So I push for that. you know, they know full well about my website. They know full well that I was wrongfully convicted. One of the guys, James Lockyer, okay, I quote him all the time about crown attorneys, and he's right about a lot of things. He is right. You know, he's definitely right. He knows what he's talking about when he says that crown attorneys don't like going after crown attorneys, and so they don't like to show wrongful convictions or breakdowns in the system, so they cover it up, bring in dispositions or uphold the convictions. Yeah, and when he says they perceive wrongly that every time they show a wrongful conviction, they're damaging the system. But in fact, they aren't damaging. They're showing that it is working if they do that. And he's correct. That is correct. You know, I can't say anything about that. It's just that when it comes down to like the stuff I do about pointing my fingers at them and and saying these guys are criminals and all this, you know, and especially in my own case, when my case has gone political because the political people have gotten know about it and this type of thing, and so they don't want to admit that they're crown attorneys and they're police and chief of police and, you know, guys like Bob Runciman know about. They was beaten and tortured and stuck in a mental institution and all this. One time, I used to protest so much and flyers and everything else, and Lockyer had an office here back with Lockyer and Pronowski off of, they were off of Elgin Street. They were right on Elgin Street there, down by the courthouse, just a little bit further down. And what happened was one day I got charged. It was one of these charges. It might have been the charge with trespassing or something else, some stupid charge, you know. The cops were just harassing me and that. So what I did is, one time is they said, do you want to phone the police, you know, and or a lawyer to get, you know, someone in. And I said, yeah, give me Lockyer's office, you know. Here he is, Aidwick, and I've got all the evidence and everything else to screw him right into the ground, these guys, the police and the crown attorneys. So I'd protest this place so badly in advertising and flyers and I'd put up signs all over the place, and it was just massive what I did to them. Everybody in the courthouse knew me, like lawyers and that. They were all talking about it. Like Ken Hall says, everybody's talking about you, what happened. So, and everybody knew, you know. It's like one lady there turned around, she murdered her husband and she was going under the white battered syndrome, and one day the lawyer started talking to the crown attorney in front of her. They were discussing what was going to happen to her, and then they'd take a break and they started discussing my case right in front of her, and I knew her. She said, Dave, they were talking about how bad you were getting screwed. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, you can't miss it, you know. So when I called Lockyer's on one of these dummy charges they had me on, Lockyer, I got a hold of one of his people in the office. So I've never talked to this lawyer there. To this day I don't even know the guy's name. It might have been Lou, one of the guys that is in one of the major was on one of the major cases here. Cumberland murder case, but he ended up that I was talking to the guy on the phone, and from the basement of the courthouse, no, it was the basement of the courthouse or the police station, whatever one was. And I said, listen, I started telling him about myself, you know, what it is, because I've never met the man, never talked to the man before in my life, and I started to tell him what's going on. He says, Dave, you don't have to. And it kind of threw me off, you know. Like, I don't know this man. I've never talked to this man before, you know. Here he belongs to the law firm that's major in Aidwick, you know. Lockyer's office. And he handles Aidwick cases. So I ended up that I went again. I said, listen. I started telling him what's going on. He says, Dave, you don't have to. You know. So, you know, like, I gotta tell you what's going on, like about the case, if you're gonna take the case. You know, so I started telling him. It's the third time. He says, Dave, you don't have to tell me. He says, I've had conversations with the crown attorney about how badly you've been screwed. You know? And that's basically how much publicity I've gotten on this, and by protesting and everything else, passing out the police's perjury, and like, I've been arrested so many times, it's unbelievable. That day, out the door I went. Never heard of who this guy was or not, but I called Aidwick, or not Aidwick, but I called James Lockyer, one of the leaders in Aidwick, one of the founders and top guys and all this. I went down to a convention one time there, and I seen him there years and years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Well, I think it was their first one. It cost me like $200 to go there, and they wanted me to go to a party at a guy named Michael Cohen's, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to rub elbows with lawyers. But that's basically it. You know, that's Aidwick. They knew that, they know me, they know that the police and the Crown Attorney's fixed tiles, they know I got beat, they know I got tortured, they know I was thrown in a mental institution, they know there's Dr. Bradford's like the Charles Smith that just came out. They know all this. And so, you know, that's what I'd like to tell you about Aidwick. You know, this is, you know, it's just a money thing. That's all it is, a money thing to clean up these wrong, and they got a little niche of wrongful convictions. But when it comes to a guy like me, who's turned around and said, there's a criminal cop lying, he's falsifying his reports, and these are 15-year crimes, perjuring, falsifying reports, beating, torturing, and all this. They don't want to touch a guy like me, because it's a political bombshell, and they don't want to rob. What Aidwick is all about is about the money. In the end, they get their money. Usually the students find out about these wrongful convictions and that, do the research and that, and they walk in at the end and go, hey, you know, and that's what it is. So I'd just like to say hi to James and the rest of them, and you could please visit the website and look at all the rest of the things. And I'd like to say hi to James, and good luck, boys, because you're a joke to me. Thank you.